So we're here with Freshwave today. My name is Stuart Hollyoak. I look after small cell business development. I want to introduce the panel today.
So pleased to meet you all. Tom Bennett. I'm proud to be the CTO at Freshwave.
Hello, I'm Simon Frumkin. I'm the CEO of Freshwave.
And my name is Bart Giordano. I lead the NIC segment for CommScope.
So Freshwave have achieved a very unique proposition, delivering 4 mobile operators on a single small cell platform that's now rolling out to the UK. Simon, do you want to tell us how you did that?
Yeah, well, it was a lot of hard work. It was a lot of collaboration with the mobile operators. We worked over 2 or 3 years to work with their technology teams to introduce the product. But it was really clear to us from very early on in our journey as a business that having all 4 mobile operators in a single unit was essential to our customers. That's what customers really want.
And Tom, what kind of challenges did you see as you went through the process?
Not so much challenges as opportunities. Simon's already hit the nail on the head, which is collaboration is key. Both commercially and technically, what we do is work with the MNOs, work with the mobile operators. We talk their language at the engineering level. They will always sign off on the radio design, and my engineering team talk their language in terms of radio design. We do the new product introduction, hand in glove with them. We also ensure we meet all their compliance standards. I know that sounds boring, but it's important. It means the mobile operators can trust us. And then finally, operationally, as we hand into live operations, we have a 24/7 service capability, which meets their service management requirements. So it's all about the collaboration with the MNOs so that we can offer a service back to the enterprise customer.
And Bart, we're seeing a huge rise of neutral hosts globally. How important are they to our business?
Well, first of all, I want to say we're very proud to have partnered with Freshwave to position OneCell for this opportunity. I think the promise of neutral host is finally being realized in the market after many years of trying and having to overcome the commercial and technical challenges. At the end of the day, though, this is the most cost-effective way to solve in-building cellular challenges. And beyond that, when you can standardize on a single platform and a single operator across multiple carriers, we can provide a very consistent experience for users, independent of device and independent of the operator in the building. So it's just a much more effective way to deploy multi-operator services inside of any.
And Simon, the UK market, I guess, is quite unique or led the way in terms of commercial models. What can you tell us about how the change in expectations around commercial models helps you roll out the product?
Yeah, so the key thing is what we describe as the enterprise pays model. So that's the end customer paying for a coverage solution. The UK has really led the way because it had to. So the UK is the most competitive mobile market, certainly in most of the world, has amongst the lowest ARPUs and big challenges in terms of CapEx budgets for the mobile operators. And so to get these sorts of coverage solutions in, we had to be innovative. And for Freshwave, when we launched 5 years ago, that was about focusing our business on the types of customers who are willing to pay for coverage, whether that's commercial real estate, whether that's tenants in office buildings, whether it's hospitals, government buildings, a whole range of different sectors who are willing to pay for coverage because it's a game changer and because the business case is really strong. The difference between having connectivity and not having connectivity is huge in terms of productivity and lots of benefits that we see realized by deploying solutions like this.
And how important are businesses such as WiredScore to end users?
Yeah, so WiredScore, for those people who are not familiar with it, is an independent accreditation body that does surveys of the quality of connectivity in buildings. So from a landlord perspective, a WiredScore accreditation is really important, is key, because if you have an accreditation from WiredScore, literally your real estate is worth more. So rental values are higher, you get more attractive tenants, and your whole package in terms of your commercial offering is better. So WiredScore has been very, very important for us in driving this model.
And Tom, one of the benefits of this platform, obviously, is its standards nature
Yeah.
that enterprises recognise. Do you think that was key as well? Things like structured cabling, switching, that kind of model to roll
Yeah.
out?
I mean, very much when we deal and talk with the end customer, be it the IT director of an enterprise or the facilities management for any given building, you're quite right. What they're looking for is physically what is it they need to do. Moreover, with the enterprise customer, they're very interested in the security and how we can back that off and say, yep, you know what, we're Telecom Security Act accredited. So this solution, working together with yourselves and with the M&Os, means if you're an IT director, you're providing connectivity and you're meeting all the compliance requirements. Very, very much an end-to-end solution where they're concerned.
So, cellular coverage right now, it's fantastic. It's rolling out across many buildings. Do you want to talk about sort of the level of buildings you've got out there now with your operators?
Yeah, so I mean, we're across our whole portfolio, we've now rolled out 34 million square feet of indoor coverage, which, to put that in perspective, is the equivalent of 35 times the tallest building in Europe. So it's pretty significant. A lot of that is achieved through small cell technology, and the key is that this is scalable, right? So we can start with relatively small buildings, floor plates of 15,000 square foot, up to buildings of 350,000 square foot, where this is really the only cost-effective solution. To put that in perspective, compared to a DAS for that size of building, so 300,000 square foot, we're talking about a 60% cost reduction and a 60% reduction in energy emissions as well. So it's a much more energy efficient solution as well as a more cost efficient solution.
And Bars, I guess there's a lot of synergies here with the Wi-Fi market. Do you see IT managers within businesses wanting to roll out Wi-Fi alongside cellular in a neutral host model? Is that something you think?
I think the way we see networks evolving is we need more capacity across all spectrum, right? Users are using network very differently than we did only a few years ago, right? I don't know what the culture is in many of your companies, but prior to the COVID era, we did not have a strong culture of being on real-time voice and video for every single meeting all day long. So the way networks were designed 5 years ago are not really meeting the needs of how we're using networks in enterprises today. And so we have to evolve. So more spectrum, more efficient spectrum, lower cost per square foot is really enabling new classes of properties to adopt both licensed and unlicensed spectrum to meet these challenges.
Simon, you touched on sort of starting small and growing. I guess that's working closely with the landlords.
Right.
And how's that process manifest?
Yeah, I mean that's really focusing on our customers' needs. So we have in our business people who understand the mobile operators, but also people from the real estate world who understand how real estate customers buy. What we've developed is really flexible models. So some real estate owners, you talked about WiredScore, are willing to invest to connect their whole building. Others just don't have the funds to do that, and so we've evolved models. For example, a model we call Pay As You Occupy, where we'll fit out the whole building, but then tenants, as they move in, pay to be switched on. And that's quite an efficient model because the landlord doesn't end up picking up the whole cost, doesn't have to pass it through the service charge. We have a direct relationship with the tenant who's benefiting from the coverage.
And Tom, I guess moving on to the technical side here, I guess the small cell product, the one cell product in itself, lends itself to that being a single cell, an expansion across a building. Is that benefiting a lot?
Very much, yeah. As a small cell product, it is scalable. Exactly as Simon's just said. You can start small, you can start with a single floor, and provided you've worked with the facilities management of the building, you can then extend to the whole building. As you say, you roll out floor by floor. Even with customers, they occasionally come back, they repartition. With a repartition, a re-radio plan, the solution is flexible. We can cope with that and we provide a better service to the customer.
And I think you touched on 6% cost. Things like space and power are also important there. I mean, the size of the MER, right, is pretty small.
Very, very much. I mean, it's so many customers now, big MER space is just not available at all.
Yeah.
So the small cell solution very much lends itself where you have a small unit in the riser on a per floor basis and a rack or two in the MER, rather than where we've seen in previous installations kind of 5-6 years ago, you easily needed 8 to 10 racks worth of equipment. That just isn't there in these modern buildings.
Yeah. I think you did some calculations around power savings, sort of 60%
Yes.
power savings.
I mean, compared to the traditional DAS technology, yeah, it's 60 to 70%.
which the whole industry is moving to, right? DAS included. We're all moving to lower and lower power.
Yes.
I guess we're leading the way.
Which, by the way, really helps the customer. Most customers have their own ESG targets.
Yes.
So you can enter into that conversation with them and solve a solution for them.
And is that the same even though you're installing and managing that system? Do they count that ESG saving within
I
their
can never remember the
benefits as well?
categorization, but yes is the answer.
Okay.
It's something like category 3. I think we're there.
Level 3, yeah, that's right.
And they can still include it. Any questions from the floor about how this has been achieved? It's a world first. 4 operators on a single small cell. As Simon said, it's deployed across many buildings now, and grows every day. Any questions about how other countries may achieve this?
So what feedback are you getting? I work for a network. What feedback are you getting from the networks in terms of the benefits they're seeing from the technology, and also customer experience on it? Whether there's any sort of nuances with the technology?
Yeah, so the feedback is great because we worked hard up front to collaborate with the mobile operators. I mean, I think it takes away a lot of pain points from them in terms of just general customer dissatisfaction. It has a big benefit actually in terms of offloading traffic. So we've done some calculations working with the mobile operators that actually it takes the pressure off the macro network, and therefore they need to upgrade their macro networks less often. I think maybe the most important thing for the mobile operators is those locations which frankly, as an industry, having got to the 5th generation of our technology, it's just unacceptable not to coverage and to cover. And there are, I'm talking particularly about hospitals and healthcare settings where, this is an ideal solution for many hospitals. None other than the biggest hospitals really can afford to deploy a DAS. And look, personally, having worked in the industry for 25 years, I just think it's not okay that people in hospitals, in healthcare settings, don't have coverage and can't use their cell phone.
Who is your actual buyer or customer, and what do you have to show them to showcase value beyond improved coverage? Like, what value discussions are you having with them?
Yeah, so we have multiple customers. So we start with the commercial landlords and the commercial real estate. So for them, as I've said, for the owner of a building, it's about the value of the building. It's about the attractiveness of the building for a tenant. For tenants in office buildings, generally, it's about productivity. It's about employee satisfaction, and it's about efficiency. Also, cellular is a very useful, resilient backup to fiber and Wi-Fi. But then as we go out into other industries, there are all sorts of different business cases around efficiency, productivity. I mean, I talked about healthcare, for example, and we're seeing, as we connect hospitals, we're seeing hospitals use cellular systems for all of their critical systems to connect doctors, to find patients, to access electronic patient records. So all of the digital investments that people are making are opened up by cellular, and fundamentally in those settings, it's a more appropriate technology than Wi-Fi in many cases. I'm glad you asked the question, because actually we've done some research just now demonstrating the business case and the productivity, and we've launched what we call a return on investment index for cellular, and we'll be publishing that every year and showing the feedback from different sectors of the economy.
So we know that coverage obligations in the UK are highly regulated and have been contentious over the years. Do you think that regulation should extend to indoor coverage and not just outdoor macro?
So that,
I mean, this is a personal opinion, no. Being honest, I think a regulation will tend to overcomplicate. Simon's touched on it. When you've got something like the best possible indoor coverage, when you're looking at the efficiency of your operation, Simon talked about healthcare, and yes, electronic patient records, but think about a hospital as pretty much a big hotel with critical care patients. the efficiency of that operation lends itself to a business case. So my personal view is, from a regulation perspective, having worked in the M&Os, it's quite a blunt tool.
And then even if it's regulated and enforced, who then pays? Right? Yeah, I mean, you look at it from a building owner's perspective. They bought a building, they've ensured it's ESG compliant with the thickest glass that blocks out radio signals. Is it then fair on the operator to then have to come and put coverage in because the building owner is saving on lots of power? It's a very contentious subject, which I think
Regulation is it.
certainly in the UK, Freshwave have led the way in taking the operators down a journey of understanding, the benefits of this, and that's how we'll manage to get the operators to agree to this rule first and to move them down that road and put coverage in at no cost to them, effectively. But it benefits everybody, the whole industry, I think, for sure.
Yeah, I would like to think that people are looking at what we've done in the UK and interestingly, actually, we've led the way in this. So the enterprise pays model has actually now moved on to the US, right? But where a lot of the carriers are now writing to building owners and customers and saying that they won't fund systems and that they need to talk to neutral hosts and they need to self-fund coverage systems. But I hope the rest of the world is looking at us and would like to have the same level of indoor coverage that we can achieve through these models and these products.
Well, this is the only viable economic model
Right.
for the vast majority of real estate around the world.
Absolutely.
And so if enterprise is going to fund it, this is the way we do it.
So the question was around frequency bands. So in the UK explicitly, the UK operators have specified a set of frequency bands for 4G and 5G. We work with the M&Os and radio plan every single site, and sometimes floor by floor. That's part of what we do when we offer the solution to the end enterprise customer.
So I guess before we close, one final comment from starting with you, Tom, maybe just to say what's the number one, piece of advice to get this going in the various markets.
I mean, for me, it is around collaboration. I know we've said it a few times. Anything you do in mobile is always going to require multiple parties from multiple companies. Be very appreciative and respectful for the different cultures of the different businesses. The culture of mobile is different to the culture of enterprise, to the culture of health. I know it's an obvious statement, but it is around that collaboration and understanding both sets and both parties.
Bart?
So this solution really opens up a lot of opportunities for everybody in the value chain, right? Users who want reliable connectivity in wherever they are. Certainly the operators who are now moving to this enterprise funded model. And I think the property owners who, to Simon's point earlier now, can market a high-tech property. And this is something that improves the asset value and the operating income of that property given these new economic models. So it is a very unique way to solve the in-building cellular coverage problem. And I think it's bringing a tremendous amount of value to the market.
Simon, final point from you.
Yeah, look, for me, this is all about meeting a customer demand, right? There's a clear customer requirement for this. Thanks to you guys, because you've listened to us, your customers, and that's exactly what we're trying to do with ours, to bring to the market a product where there's clearly a very huge demand.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great work.